Hello and welcome back to the YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you guys how you can eat essentially whatever you want and manipulate it, even if it's cake, even if it's ice cream, to getting your ideal physique, right? A lot of people say these certain foods you can't eat, these certain foods you can eat, these are whole foods. No. Every single food is a stream of energy. Some of them might not be the best, most usable, energy, but they're energy nonetheless. And we can take that and use it to our advantage, depending on one simple factor: meal timing, right? So I'm going to tell you exactly what I do with all of my clients to help clients lose 45 pounds in less than 100 days, like my client Akash, or my client who lost over 20 pounds in just 1 month, and multiple other clients who've gotten results just like that. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So we got to figure out what type of day is it, right? Is it training or a rest day? This is incredibly important, right? So if it's a training day, here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep carbs high. So let's just say we have a 200-pound individual. They're going to be eating around 300 to 500 grams of carbs per day on their training days, right? Um, if the main goal is building muscle, right? And what we're going to do is a suitable amount of energy to where they're able to push themselves in the gym and create the most output for muscle growth, um, while also not completely tipping over the scale and going into diminishing returns where they're just eating carbs for no reason, and that fuel is going to end up being stored as fat. So this is a healthy sweet spot. So the pre-workout is incredibly important. We want pre-workout 40 to 60 grams, moderate amount of carbs, and hopefully it doesn't impair the GI too much. So essentially, what that means is make it easily digestible, right? Um, and additionally, when it comes to unhealthy foods, what you're going to want to do is place them either before or after your workout. Ideally, if it's something very unhealthy, we're going to put it on after our workout, right? A best time to have a cheat day is right after you train, right? Because your body's already glycogen depleted, and whatever you get back, like the sugars that you get back from the carbohydrates from the food that you just ate, already helping with the recovery process, right? Because you just had a crazy amount of output in the gym. So the meal timing of that cheat meal, incredibly important, right? So hypothetically, you could take the unhealthy meal and have it before the workout. I would just recommend having it more than 1 to 2 hours before, right? So instead of having an unhealthy piece of food, you know, like an hour before you train, it's not going to digest because it probably has a lot of fat as well. So you're probably going to want to push it out to like 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours before you train. That will probably give it enough time for it to digest, and then you can go ahead and take that energy that you got from the unhealthy food, whatever it may be, and push it towards your workout, right? Now, if you want to have candy, if you want to have intra workout, simple carbohydrates that are unhealthy, you can do that during your section, right? During your session, during your workout, whatever it may be, right? So, in physique building, we call it peri workout. So, before, during, or after your workout. That is where I want you to have the most amount of your carbohydrates, aka the most amount of your energy. And it makes sense because the most amount of your energy is going to be put towards that workout. So it's probably better that you're going to have, an intake, the most amount of energy around that time frame, right? So post workout, same thing as I said about the unhealthy food. You're going to have a good amount of carbohydrates within 60 minutes of training. If you've thought about the anabolic window, right? They had it right, but they had it wrong at the same time. It's not about how fast you can get protein in. It's how fast you can get starchy carbohydrates in and simple sugars to like help the body recover, right? Because your body's super depleted, especially if you trained hard. So the best sources are white rice, banana, oats, and sweet potato. However, right, if we're using unhealthy foods to our advantage, we can keep the unhealthy food either after or before we train to ensure that that energy is being utilized in the best possible fashion, right? So it's literally that simple. If I were to have a piece of cake, I'll probably have it right after I train, right? Get the simple sugars in and golden. Like, for example, I had macaroni and cheese after I trained. I would never have that just on a regular day. But I digress. You can use those unhealthy foods that you eat to your advantage if you're smart about when you eat it. That's the main point. Now, let's go to the rest day. Rest day is completely different. What I will say is there's balances in everything. So rest day, you can have a cheat day, but the same thing pertains, right? So if I have a cheat day on a rest day, let's just say, or a cheat meal, right? Ideally, I place that cheat meal at the end of the day, at dinner. Why? Why? Now, the reason being is because I can wake up and I can go straight to the gym without eating anything, fasted, because the last meal I had was large and filling and had a lot of carbohydrates, had a lot of fat, and had a lot of protein, right? Let's just say on, a Thursday night is my rest day and I'm working out Friday morning, it would be wise of me if I had a cheat meal, that I wanted to have that meal in the evening, and then wake up on Friday morning and go train and put that energy to use. Always put the energy that you have to the maximal amount of usage that you can, right? Main point. If I go have Cheesecake Factory, I'll do it on a rest day, Friday morning, train, bada bing, bada boom. And from there, I usually hit a lot more PRs because I have that energy in my system, right? And it's counterintuitive. People say, well, you need to be on your diet 24/7. That's not realistic for a lot of busy professionals. For people that have, 12-hour or 14-hour days, like they might have to go to a client dinner. They might have to eat and drink what, people around them are doing, right? And yeah, you have the argument that, I don't want to, you can still do what you want to do despite who you're going with. And I get that. And I agree with that to some form or fashion. But look, people have lives outside of just fitness, and it's important that you cater to that when you're making a program around that. So carbs on a rest day, though, are completely different. So for the most part, you shouldn't have too many carbs on a rest day. Ideally, it's like a 0.5 grams per pound of body weight. At the max, you're doing 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay? Mostly, I would say get fruits and veggies in on your rest days and try to increase the fiber, and don't really worry too much about the carbohydrates. I would increase the protein, I would increase the fat, and I would decrease the carbohydrates to the ground. Meals, keep carbs low, fill calories with protein fats. Yeah, exactly what I said. And best sources are vegetables, berries, and a small amount of oats if you really want to get just even more fiber in. But even then, I would just say no oats, just vegetables, berries, and whatever other type of fruits. Apples are awesome. But that's if you want to go the really crazy low carb option on the rest days, which is honestly better because it promotes insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity is very important for the carb cycling process, as I've gone over in my other UT videos. So what I recommend is, if you guys want to have a cheat day, or a cheat meal rather, cheat days are kind of crazy, but if you want to have a cheat meal, have it peri-workout within your training session, within the 4-hour block of the training session window, either before, during, or after. And then also, if you want to have it on a rest day, have the night before and the day after you train in the morning, right? All about meal timing. Don't stress too much. Have fun. Enjoy life. And put the energy that you get to work. All right? Hope you guys enjoy this one. And if you guys want to work with me one-on-one and get similar results to my clients who are losing near 50 pounds in just 100 days, I recommend you book a call with me below and we can get to work.